eyes or softening our gaze, becoming aware of the breath entering and leaving the body. Invite you to focus awareness on something beautiful. Here in this space, there's an old oak tree just outside the window. Kind souls in the room. We're surrounded by natural beauty. In this space of prayer, we allow ourselves to be refreshed, to be renewed, to recommit to our spiritual awakening. Grateful for the teachings, the people who share this path, for all of our gifts and resources. We declare this sacred time and holy space. All is one and all is well, and so it is. Amen.
We're going to move into our meditation portion of the evening that begins with chant. You can sing with us or you can listen. God hears all prayers, spoken and unspoken, sung, and those in your heart. I celebrate that Todd is with us here tonight. He's going to be helping us out a little bit. The words are super simple, repetitive, on purpose, so that you can sort of let your brain go and let your heart sing. Oh, let this great power wash through. Oh, let this great power wash through. I don't have to wonder what to say or what to do. Just let this great power wash through. Oh, let me see the light in you. Oh, let me see the light in you. I don't have to see the truth. Just let me see the light in you. Oh, let this great power wash through. Oh, let this great power wash through. I don't have to wonder what to say or what to do. Let this great power wash through. So that idea of letting your heart sing and letting your brain take a break is sort of carried forward when we sing in Sanskrit. These very, very old language, this old text. Just let your thoughts wander while you sing with us. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Gurudev, 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 Gurudev Namo.
Gurudev, Gurudev Namo.
Gurudev, Gurudev Namo.
Gurudev, Gurudev Namo.
Namo. Gurudev Namo. Om Namo. Gurudev Namo. Om Namo. Gurudev Namo. Gurudev, Gurudev Namo.
Gurudev, Gurudev Namo.
Gurudev, Gurudev Namo.
Gurudev, Gurudev Namo.
Gurudev, Gurudev Namo.
Gurudev, Gurudev Namo.
Gurudev, Gurudev Namo.
Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev Namo. Gurudev Namo. Namo. Gurudev Namo. Namo. Gurudev Namo.
And so as you settle into your space and back into your body again and breathing, just take a deep breath in, relaxing around that breath and simply allowing yourself now to adjust yourself in your seat. Adjust the frame of your body from your shoulders, rounding out and squaring with your neck and head. Feel yourself adjusting so your spine is upright in your seat. Adjusting your hips, allowing your legs to relax and move from your hips to your feet, rested on the floor or folded beneath you, allowing your arms to hang from your shoulders and hands upright or comfortably resting in your lap. And so with a deep breath, just allow yourself now to be present and breathe into your body fully, slowly, evenly, all the way in and all the way out. And just remember, you're relaxing, you're safe here. Let go and relax. Allow yourself to just be, breathing and letting go of tension everywhere. And breathing now, in and out. Focus on your heart center, the center of your torso and the center where your heart resides and the space all around it. Breathing into it and allowing your inner vision to go deeply into it. Breathing, breathing. And with your inner vision now, bring the image of a face you deeply love into mind now. Allow that face to arise in you and before you. Feel your heart space soften and expand as you look into this person's eyes. Notice how it feels right now. Breathing and looking into these beloved eyes. Breathing. Now, with your next breath, let this face recede, disappear, breathing into your heart. Allow it to remain soft and open, expansive, and bring to mind a person that you're friendly with, and someone you enjoy but may not know very well. And with your next breath, allow your heart to open as fully as you can with this image. Allow yourself to allow yourself to know what you may yet need to discover about this person to know what really well, but what you know now, what you see now, looking into their eyes, allow your heart to warm and expand a little more. A little more. Breathing. Breathing and let it go. See the regard this person has for you, returned and kind, and allow your heart to respond. And now let this face recede. And bring to mind someone you currently have perhaps some distrust or maybe some resentment, perhaps unforgiveness, or at least a challenge of some kind. Keep breathing deeply, evenly, slowly, all the way in and all the way out. Keeping your eyes on this face, looking into their eyes. See their face drawing closer to you. Keeping your heart open and breathing. Breathing. Allowing your heart to open slightly more with each breath, while staying focused on their eyes. Breathing. Staying open. Breathing. Breathing into your heart. Allow it to achieve a steady state of openness. Breathing. Now, thank this person, looking into their eyes, and allow this face now to recede. Breathing into your body, all of it. Feel your entire body drawing in this breath and feel the flow moving through. Noticing your heart staying open. Intending for it to stay open for the remainder of this evening. Breathing. Breathing into it when you discover it's closed or fallen off, just open, breathing, and letting go. Letting go. And so it is. And so it is. Amen.
This is a space where we heal, where we transform, where we walk together on this spiritual path. And we are in the flow of life and the flow of giving and receiving. And so now is our opportunity to give from our gifts and our resources into this community. And if you give online or text to give or in the room, let us bless our offerings with this heartfelt prayer together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. So it is.
Yeah.
If this life is one act, why do we lay all these traps? We put them right in our path when we just want to be free. I will not waste my days making up all kinds of ways to worry about all the things that will not happen to me. So I just let go of what I know I don't know, and I know I'll only do this by living in the moment, living my life easy and breezy, with peace in my mind, with peace in my heart, peace in my soul. Wherever I'm going, I'm already home. I'm living in the moment. I'm letting myself off the hook for things I've done. I let my past go past, and now I'm having more fun. I'm letting go of the thoughts that do not make me strong, and I believe this way can be the same for everyone. And if I fall asleep, I know you'll be the one who'll always remind me to live in the moment, living my life easy and breezy, peace in my mind, with peace in my heart, peace in my soul. Wherever I'm going, I'm already home. I can't walk through life facing backwards. I've tried more than once to just make sure I was denied the future I'd been searching for. I turn around and hurt no more by living in the moment, living my life easy and breezy, peace in my mind, with peace in my heart, peace in my soul. Wherever I'm going, I'm already home. Well, I'm living in the moment, I'm living my life, just taking it easy, with peace in my mind, got peace in my heart, peace in my soul. Where I'm going, I'm already home. I'm living in the moment, living my life.
I let my past go past, and now I'm having more fun.
With peace in my heart,
the thoughts that
peace
do
in
not
my
make
soul.
me strong, and
Wherever
I
I'm
believe this
going,
way can feel
I'm
safe
already
for
home.
everyone.
I'm living in the moment.
Wasn't that great? Wasn't it sweet? Isn't that the way you want to live?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, really, this I mean, that was stealing my thunder. If I hadn't, if I wasn't in favor of it, but I wanted to get you guys kind of greased in with this idea, because it's simple, but it's not easy. So tonight I'm talking about my expansive self. It's a combination of like about 3 chapters of the Untethered Soul tonight. But I'm going to start with this part of us that puts together a facade. It's the part of us that accumulates beliefs and ideas about ourselves, and we project those, and we run interference in all of our relationships by projecting only those things out there, that kind of thing. There's lots of ways that this paradigm is described. It's ego, it's all kinds of things. The way he describes it is a lot less clinical and a lot more from the inside. So this is Michael Singer's words. He says, "You are not your thoughts. You're aware of your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You feel your emotions. You are not your body. You look at it in the mirror and experience this world through its eyes and ears. You are the conscious being who's aware that you are aware of all of these inner and outer things. If you explore consciousness, which is your pure sense of awareness, you will see that it really does not exist at any particular point in space. In other words, the reality of you is not rooted in my chair or in your chair." He goes on to say, "Rather, it is a field of awareness that focuses down to a point by concentrating on a particular set of objects, which is thoughts, feelings, emotions, events, point of view, moment." He describes it as clinging. The Buddhists call it attachments. Clinging, he calls it. What the ego does with our thoughts and feelings to form a mental construct that we use to answer the question, who am I? Well, I'm this or I'm that. Let me see if I picked up this. Yes. So the next part, he goes into it. He says this: "You try to hold a consistent set of thoughts and concepts in your mind, such as, I am a woman. Yes, even that is a thought or concept held in your mind. Ooh. You are holding on to that, and you are neither male nor female. You are the awareness who hears the thought and sees a woman's body in the mirror. But you cling tightly to these concepts. You think, I'm a woman of a certain age, and I believe in one philosophy versus another. But you literally define yourself based on what you believe. I believe in God, or I don't believe in God. I believe in peace and nonviolence, or I believe in the survival of the fittest. I believe in capitalism, or I believe in neo-socialism. All of these are constructs. They're mental images. They're decisions. And frankly, they change, don't they? Usually throughout your life. You may not think your womanhood, maleness, but we know that those things shift too. You take a set of thoughts in the mind and you hold on to them. You make a highly complex relational structure out of them and then present that package as who you are." He says, but it's not who you are. It's just the thoughts you've pulled around yourself in an attempt to define yourself. You do this because you are lost inside. Now, I know, breathe. I'm going to ask you to breathe with me. I'm sure some of you want to walk out, but don't walk out yet, because this is really going to end good. You may be feeling threatened to hear this description, but recognize it's not the truth of who you are, and it's not the true you that is frightened, but your ego or your psychic mind idea of who you are, not who or what you really are. Who or what you really are is so big, much bigger than that. So much amazing energy so unique. It can't be named, and it can't be constructed with thoughts, and it can't be homogenized or contracted into a thumbnail description of who you are, or even a point in time. You know why? Because time doesn't exist where it lives. Michael Singer says, you also want the people around you to have done the same thing.
Yeah.
You want people to be steady enough so that you can predict their behavior. If they aren't, it disturbs you. This is because you've made your predictions of their behavior part of your inner model. This protective shield of beliefs and concepts regarding the outside world acts as insulation between you and the people you interact with. By having preconceived notions about other people's behavior, you feel safer and more in control. Imagine the fear you would feel if you let the entire wall down. Who have you ever allowed directly into your true self without the protection of your mental buffer? Why, he says, nobody, not even yourself. Not really. You know, we talk about this authentic self as though we know it. But we really are trying to discover it, aren't we? We're trying to feel where it exists. We're trying to knock on its door and have it come out in a way we can identify and engage with it. But most of the time, when we least expect it, we are being it and projecting it and shining it. And then we escape from it and go back into our heads again. We go back into the cuckoo clock up here. We keep going back up here when we should be staying right here. It's startling to consider that you and I are only projections of our inner selected thoughts about what we identify with, and so are the experience we have of others. So what's wrong with that? It keeps us safe, right? Makes it handy to know how to treat and interact with others, right? The problem is, it is the key to all of our suffering and all of our pain. And as long as we engage in it, pain and suffering will always be a part of our experience, will always be rubbing up against, feeling less than, feeling greater than, feeling less than, feeling greater than, feeling less than. Because we can never be who we really are, which is wonderful all the time. Because we have a construct that burdens us. Singer says, you will feel panic deep inside, and you'll be unable to get your bearings if you let the wall down. This is what people feel when something very important outside does not fit their inner model, right? When somebody does something unexpected, something out of character for them, something outside of your belief system, something that you don't agree with, boom, bang, crash, explosion, upset, right? I'm leaving. This is over. I'm not having any of this. You know why? Because my construct's shaken, and I gotta put some walls back up. He says the facade ceases to work and begins to crumble. And when it can no longer protect you, you experience great fear and panic. He says, however, you'll find that if you're willing to face that sense of panic, there is a way to go past it. Interested? You can go further back into the consciousness that is experiencing it, and the panic will stop. That's where we're knocking at the door of the authentic self. Breathing deeper, 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 deeper. Here. Not thinking about it. Not remembering. Not thinking. Feeling. Staying expectant, open. Then there will be great peace, he says, like nothing you've ever felt. That's the part very few people come to know. that it can stop. The noise, the fear, the confusion, the constant changing of these inner energies, it can all stop. You thought you had to protect yourself. So you grabbed onto the things that were coming at you and you used them to hide. But you can let go of what you're clinging to and not play this game. You just have to take the risk of letting it go and daring to face the fear that was driving you, face the fear that was driving you to hide in the first place. Face the fear. Then you can pass that part of you and it will all be over. Even, yes, for the moment, but it will be over. And you didn't know that. You thought you had to keep running because it came. It will stop at last. No more struggling, just peace. In my life, there's a current awareness in me that I'm working with right now. This is what happens. Sometimes when I'm reviewing something that happened, I'm thinking about events or conversations or discussions or something earlier in my day, for instance, guilt or shame or emotional pain will come up. And some thought that I was just having created this in me. I suddenly realized that I wasn't feeling that at the time. I wasn't feeling that guilt or shame or emotional pain, but thinking back over that event or thinking now about it, a thought arises. And I realized that it was the thought that arose just now that made me feel this way, not because I did anything wrong back there. Not that I looked stupid back there like I think I did, or that I said something hurtful and that was that little twinge in that person's face, and why didn't I see it then, and why did I, and all of the ways in which I, Karen, make myself suffer. And then I realized it didn't just happen. I was just thinking. I didn't even feel this when it happened, and only now that I was letting the back streets of my mind run through that again. So this isn't the truth, and I can be free now. Yeah, and I am. For a while, but otherwise I would have been nursing pain in my old ways of doing things. I can be free now, and that's what I remind myself over and over. I can be free now. And so I breathe and I let go the need to attach to this thought or feeling or be at peace. And I remind myself, you were just fine before that thought. You can be fine again. And then I am. Singer says, why should anything that anyone says or does cause you to get disturbed? Yes, why indeed? He says, you're just on a planet spinning around the middle of absolutely nowhere. You came here to visit for a handful of years and then you're going to leave. How can you live all stressed out over everything? Don't do that. If anything can cause disturbance inside of you, it just means it hit your model, your perception, your little house of cards. It means it hit the false part of you that you built in order to control your own definition of reality. But if that model is reality, why didn't experiential reality fit? Get that? If you have created a true model of the way the world really is, then the world would never upset you or surprise you because you're ready for it. It's only because you have a mistaken notion based on a lot of other ideas and things from the past that is a distortion of what reality is, and reality keeps reminding you, take that wall down. Take that down. Singer says there's nothing you can make up inside your mind that can ever be considered reality. Even our wonderful brain? There's nothing you can make up inside your mind that can ever be considered reality. I know you want to argue with me, don't you? There's nothing you can make up inside your mind that can ever be considered reality. Because where do your thoughts come from? They come from your experience, from your past. They don't come from right now. They come from back there somewhere, some combination of chemicals and brain chemicals and distortions and hormones and teachings that people taught you and voices in your head and a combination of all that mess. It's how we work and navigate. It's how we try to keep ourselves safe, I know. But safe from what? Life. And you don't need your construct of your identity to protect yourself from the world. So you don't need to shore it up when the world hits up against it. Let it fall. There's a Bedouin proverb that says, truth may walk through the world unarmed. You're that. And your beautiful, open heart forward, unprotected, undefended, breathing into it, soft and open as you can make it, as many ways you can keep it open. As long as you can keep it open, practicing staying open to everything. It is not injured by the world. It is not injured. Pain happens, y'all. Pain does happen. Am I pretending that pain doesn't happen in this world? No, it happens. But if you have your heart open, you only have to feel it once. Not over and over and over and over and for the rest of your life. Unconditional happiness. Singer says, people tend to burden themselves with so many choices, but in the end, you can throw it all away and just make one basic underlying decision. Do you want to be happy, or do you not want to be happy? Make you choose right now. Happy, not happy. He says it's really that simple. Once you make that choice, your path throughout life becomes totally clear. No, I want to be happy. He says, we say we want to be happy, but we think it isn't in our control. We have preferences about what that is. Sound familiar? Singer says, someone might say, well, of course I want to be happy, but my wife left me. In other words, they want to be happy, but not if their wife leaves them. But that wasn't the question. The question was very simply, do you want to be happy or not? If you keep it that simple, you'll see that it really is under your control. It's just that you have a deep-seated set of preferences that gets in the way. You have to give an unconditional answer. Unconditional happiness is the highest technique there is. It is one of the aspects of enlightenment, to choose to be happy underneath everything. I know you're thinking, that's inconsistent with anything I have ever experienced before, Karen, and I have 6 reasons why you're wrong. I know. But listen to this. This very morning, before I woke up, I had a dream. It was, I guess, a bit of a lucid dream, slightly. I had the image of some faceless, shadowy beings right over here. They were some people that I was aware that I knew them, but they didn't have faces. But I knew that I knew who they were. But I didn't really I didn't have a relationship with them. They didn't have particular significance to me or connection. And then words using my voice, though not seemingly coming from me. I was observing this. It was like a voice, my voice, using words coming from using my voice said, I have no use for these people in my life. And then an overwhelming, strong constriction right in my heart followed immediately. And in my solar plexus, I mean sharp constriction, pain, along with a bad emotional feeling. Like I also felt, it made me feel badly emotionally. Not that I was bad or ashamed, but just a bad feeling and a constriction, a real sharp pain. And I considered, why did it hurt so bad and make me feel so emotionally bad? I don't really even identify with who or what this means, when these were just nebulous people that didn't seem to have a direct connection in my life at all. And then I realized, still not wakened, I realized that to love myself as I do, I cannot excise others out of my life or out of my love. I have to find a way to love them, no matter what my relationship with them is or is not. I will remind you, boundaries apply, and they are needed, but that's a separate tool that we use in the world, right? Boundaries are something we use in the world, not in matters of the heart. Your heart doesn't have boundaries. There are no lines here. Boundaries are what we use to keep ourselves safe. You don't bring toxic people into your house. You don't invite them to live your life when they can't behave themselves with you. That's not okay. That's what you use that for. You keep them at arm's length. But in your heart, where they are, wherever they stay, you have to find a way to love them. Because you don't want to suffer because of them. You want to include them. In order to be intact and whole, I have to find a way to accept, to include their existence as part of me, or I cannot be whole. And that's when I suffer. And that's when I hurt. And that's when I'm not enough, or feel like I'm not enough. And I start identifying with a caricature of what is really my authentic self back here. But I have created a caricature that I want to suffer with, a suffer doll. This is what is known as unconditional love, y'all. We think God is the only one who does it? It is us. We have to practice unconditional love everywhere. With ourselves first, and everyone else, everything else. It is the staple of the spiritual path. So what Michael Singer is saying is that apparently unconditional happiness is also another staple of the spiritual path. Choosing to be happy does not mean not being emotionally present to what life brings. You're going to grieve. If your spouse leaves you, it hurts. It will kick your butt. Yes. It will teach you lessons. Yes. But if you stay alert and awake, you only have to feel the pain as it processes through you to get you back into your happy state. Your basic happiness is not irrevocably destroyed because of what happens to you. Because what comes, goes. If you simply stay open, no matter what. It's the relentless sunshine of your soul. And you might as well enjoy it. Unconditional love, unconditional happiness, a choice to be happy. In the same way, and let me show how you can use this, and why I gave you the example of the love thing is because of this. I have learned that I can stay distanced from people who are not good for me, who are doing things I don't want to be a part of. I don't want their life to be bleeding into mine out there, but I will find a way to love them because it's unconditional love, and because I might even help move them further in their path because I'm shining love on them. Okay? So in the same way that your unconditional happiness, your joy can still arise and peek through the openings going through a traumatic or a grief event even. That can happen. In fact, sometimes it has to happen just so you can get some relief from the relentless pain of a deep loss. You've got to be able to laugh somewhere in there, right? Those of you who've lost heavy know the relief it is to discover that you can laugh again. That you have to know that the unconditional happiness is still there. It's still there, and you can choose it. You can choose it. Here's what Singer says. Do you think God likes to be around people that are happy or people that are miserable? It's not hard to tell. Just think about imagining that you're God. You created the heavens and the earth so that you can play and experience yourself, and now you're dropping down to check on your humans. So God asks the first human he sees, "How are you doing?" The human says, "What do you mean, how am I doing?" "Well, do you like it here?" "No, I don't like it here." "Why not? What's wrong?" "The tree is bent in 5 places. I want it to be straight. This person went out with somebody else, and that person ran up a $100 phone bill. This person over there has a nicer car than mine, and that person over there dresses funny, if anybody wants to know. It's just terrible. Plus my nose is too big. My ears, painfully small. My toes are weird. I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with any of it. I don't like it." So God says, "Well, how about the animals?" "The animals? The ants and mosquitoes bite you. It's a terrible thing. I can't go out at night because there are all these animals out there. They howl and poop all over the place. I just don't like it." Do you think God likes listening to all this? He says, "What do you think? I'm a complaint department?" Then he goes and visits somebody else, and again he asks, hopefully, "How are you doing?" This person says, "I'm ecstatic." God says, "Wow, well, how do you like things?" "They're beautiful. Everything. Everywhere I look, I just see that everything creates waves of joy inside of me. I look at that bent tree, it just blows me away. The ant comes and bites me, and it's just so amazing that a tiny ant could be brave enough to bite a giant like me." Now, you can guess who God wants to hang out with, right? One of the ancient names for God in the yogic tradition is Satchitananda, eternal conscious bliss. God is ecstasy. God is as high as it gets. If you want to be close to God, learn to be joyful. If you remain spontaneously happy and centered, no matter what happens, you will find God. That's the amazing part. Yes, you'll find happiness, but that's nothing compared to what you're really going to find. Once you've passed through trial by fire and you are thoroughly convinced that you will let go, open, no matter what, then the veils of the human mind and heart will fall away. You will stand face to face with what is beyond you, because there's no longer a need for you in that way. When you are done playing with the temporal and the finite, you'll open to the eternal and the infinite. Then the word happiness can't describe your state. That's where words like ecstasy, bliss, liberation, nirvana, freedom come in. The joy becomes overwhelming. and your cup runneth over. This is a beautiful path. Be happy. Finally, there's a three-legged stool, at least that I see. Unconditional love, unconditional happiness. The third is unconditional peace. It resides within you, in the same place that unconditional love and unconditional happiness spring forth from. It's from the same, I would say, foundation. Your soul is founded in this reality, and it is always with you and always full on. We just have all this other junk that we pile up on top of it that it has to filter through to get to our awareness. Saint Seraphim of Sorrow says, instead of condemning others, strive to reach inner peace. Keep silent, refrain from judgment. This will raise you above the deadly arrows of slander, insult, and outrage, and will shield your glowing heart against all evil. Or simply keep your mind and heart open to everything that comes along. That's it. Namaste.
Oh, thank you for that. I really like that book, and it's been a while since I read it. But you started by talking about the authentic self, so I have a question for you something I wonder about. So we have the human self, and we're aware of the human self, and then we can connect with the infinite, eternal oneness. In oneness, is there something between that?
Okay, one more time.
So we have awareness of our human self, human body, human personality, and then we can connect with the oneness of the all in all, the infinite, the abundant, the eternal. But is there something between it? Well, okay, I'll just tell you. I think it's being. There's like being in between oneness, because if we're connected with oneness, we're just part of a massive soup without a specific identity. I guess my question for you is, do you have a sense of yourself as something beyond the human boundaries, but not just part of the oneness, not just God, but something in between that?
I would say that that's a good argument the ego wants to make. I really do, because here's what I think. Here's how I feel, is that when we get into a timeless state, that's the only way I can describe it. When there's where time has gone by and I'm not really sure how long it's been. A timeless state. Sometimes that happens when I'm speaking, by the way. So, it will happen. But wherever that is, whatever you're doing, wherever you are, that you're outside of time, you are already immersed in all that is. You are channeling it. It is channeling you. It is coming through. There is communication happening in a various amount of ways, and you can look down at your body. You can say, I'm still doing this. This is what I'm doing. But who I am has come in to use this body and is speaking, and that's connected to everything. And yet I'm still very definitely, in this life, in this moment, myself, right? So you don't have to decide. I think, you're looking at the marionette. That's what it is. And it's like my authentic self is using it all the time. And my authentic self is coming as a protuberance from the oneness of everything. And my dream this morning was, I'm still processing it. That dream, that feeling of that I couldn't even be that casual about just blowing off whatever those beings were, whatever they were. They just seemed like they weren't part of me. But the pain told me they definitely were. And that I I cannot excise anything out of my experience, out of my life, and remain whole. And that pain is mine. And it has nothing to do with deserving or worthiness or anybody being good enough or me being good enough or anything. It is a simple fact of surviving, living, right? That's my experience.
Yes. So you're equating happiness and wholeness, I think. Happiness is wholeness, wholeness is happiness.
Well, I would say if you're going back to what Singer was saying, I think happiness is a choice, is what he's saying. You're choosing to remain in a steady state of some kind, or to return to a steady state. I would never say that we could be so blithe that we could lose important people in our lives, or that we could be injured or hurt and not have to have some human experience of it. I think that's a sellout. I think that's a trick of the ego, because the ego always chases us down with fear of loss of life and pain and all of that, and people in our lives. So that feels like an ego trying to slide in there and try to disrupt our reality. I would say that what I need to remember is that I can always reclaim my happiness in any moment I choose to. Just like I can reclaim my love, just like I can reclaim my peace in any moment I choose to, no matter what's going on. Even if my grieving isn't over yet, even if I have many more tears to cry, I can find my happiness. And I could even say I still have a happy life, even though I am bereft right now.
Yeah.
You can be both.
I think the word awareness and consciousness can be used almost interchangeably in tonight's discussion. And it's the way we experience our time. And you also acknowledge that time doesn't exist. Even that is manufactured. But it's the way we experience the world is through our bodies, through our thoughts, through our feelings, through our, that's sort of, that is our social contract. You know, we plop on the planet and and we have these sensing organs and we're able to see the body, etc. But what Singer's suggesting and what you said is that we have an awareness of that vessel, of those feelings, of those thoughts, and I like to think of the moment I notice that I am aware, my witness self that can observe even this conversation, then it's not a big leap to identify with that, to identify with the part of me that can notice. And that's closer to the eternal. That's that state of being that I think you were referencing earlier. But in Genesis, the writers say that God was lonely and created human beings. How can God possibly be lonely, right? But the people who are writing a story about an origin story about the creation of me, creation of the world, has to have an other, has to have an outside God to then create companionship. And it corresponds with how life is relentless in the most inhospitable places on the planet, in toxic mines and the deepest of water pressures under the planet, in everywhere you can imagine, there's life. And it's just life wanting to be itself. Now, does it have awareness? I don't think in the way that we're talking about tonight, but it's that uphill pursuit of sort of finding its place on the planet. I would argue that relentless expression of life and our self-reflection of our consciousness are friends. That those ideas are part of the social contract of inhabiting a planet.
I think we're God's avatars, don't you?
There you go.
Playing the game, you know? We're just playing the game. And I was just watching Matrix again. It was
Uh-huh.
on TV. And I saw how Mr. Smith keeps embodying whoever happens to be wherever. I would just say that that when you were talking about life any place, at any level, any form, has intelligence, has awareness, but perhaps not, what we would think of as, being human awareness, but it's not human, it has awareness. And so what actually happens is that there is a field of intelligence. And in the field of intelligence, we have access to all the intelligence at once. Not just human derivation, but intelligence. So we have the ability to intuit and to draw into us the wisdom comes from any source. And so one could argue, so do they. Sleep well tonight.
Thank you for these enlightening, enriching conversations. I just enjoy spirituality. So we will now move into prayer time, where we can unburden ourselves further, find that joy, find that happiness, release attachment, release the ego telling us that we need to fix something or control something. So as we breathe into this time, just invite you to call to mind any person, any place in the world, anything that's on your heart, any activities calling for your attention. And we know that our neighbors in Florida, we send peace and neighborliness and resources and light to them. And to any place where people are hurting from any sort of health challenges or separation or gun violence or any other challenges that we face here on planet Earth and in this universe. I invite you to speak the names into the room. Continue to make ourselves available as conduits of love and light, allowing solutions to emerge through us, allowing helpful words, acts of service, all that brings more peace and joy and clarity into our experience, to our families, into this community, this neighborhood, this world. Grateful for expanding awareness that we are love and we are light. And so it is. Amen.
So, this is the time in our practice that we speak our prayer for the welfare of all beings in our understanding of our oneness with them. And so let us speak our prayer together. By the power of this practice, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they know the sacred joy that arises in the space beyond suffering. May they rest in equanimity that knows no grasping or hatred. May they experience the equality of all beings.
May
May my practice be a benefit to all.
Namaste.